Welcome to Your Best Bets. Waste Management Phoenix Open this week. First full field elevated events coming up. We're going to get into that tonight. We're going to review the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am won by hashtag Team Rose this week. And see what else comes about in discussion tonight. Joining me, of course, is someone that is not a flat earther like our friend Kyrie Irving, Johnny Strausser. Johnny, how are we?
I'm not that you know of. You are correct on that, but I'm good tonight. Had today off, so got to watch the finish at Pebble because we had that Monday finish with the weather and everything that came in over the weekend, but which was nice. But the way it kind of finished wasn't overly exciting, so it was just gorgeous weather, good views, and some good golf.
Very strong finish by Justin Rose today. Very, very impressive. I may or may have not followed that while I was busy working. I did have some financial investment in Justin Rose, as we talked about last week. I liked him. I was surprised how he really took command of the tournament and his 11th PGA Tour win, 11 DP World Tour events that he's won as well. He's won, of course, the 2013 U.S. Open, got the 2016 gold medal. Uh, if Zach Fitzgerald's listening, he's mentioned that in Xander's arsenal, right? Um, 2019 FedEx Cup, 2018 FedEx Cup,
18.
number one in the world in 2019. He's carved out one hell of a career, and I think it's a potential Hall of Fame career.
Yes. I never even thought about Hall of Fame wise. But yeah, I mean, he's won that major championship and played well in a lot of events. And his story, especially the last several years, has been interesting. I think he's 42 now. He's about my age. I can remember when he first started. He kind of broke out of the scene at the Open Championship. Um, Ended up making the cut, playing really, really well. Holes out for eagle on the 72nd hole. Made a big deal, and then missed like the next. They turned pro right after that. Missed like the next 21 cuts in a row or something like that he played in. So just the absolute worst start you could have as a professional golfer, not pulling in a check for a good, year and a half or something like that. But you know, very mechanical golfer, really talented, and gets a lot out of that and developed a real consistent, trustworthy golf swing and became quite the player for a number of years there and won, like you said, ten times up through 2019 when he won that FedEx Cup in 2018. And then the bottom fell out. And I think it had a lot to do with he was kind of tinkering around with his equipment. And, I'm sure the swing was not quite there, but he was one that switched out of TaylorMade and went with a new set of irons. And that only lasted just a few months. I think he realized that they were more in the vanity side of golf clubs rather than than the actual like R&D and actually making golf clubs reach their technical efficiencies and everything. But this guy's a guy, he perfect age, perfect time in his career to go sign with Live, and I'm sure he had Greg Norman, knocking down his door as a big name player, looking at what all the other Euros had, the especially the English players had gone over and played in that and signed with Live, but he didn't, which I mean, I don't know about you, I was personally shocked by it. Didn't do it. Has worked his way, gotten better and better and better, and ended up playing really really well. Another funny thing, he did switch equipment that he was going to end up trying this spring. Tried it on Tuesday, liked it, put it in the bag on Wednesday, and ends up hitting his irons amazing and got that putter back. And we had talked about him last Monday on the show there as a guy we liked because he had great success there at the U.S. Open at Pebble. Had a real good shot at winning it. So this course kind of fit him and just had it back, and he just played really really solid golf for 72 holes. It was long 5 days, but he ended up playing well and pretty pretty good. whether this is his last win or the start of a resurgence, pretty impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. The I have a lot of thoughts about Justin Rose for some reason. I feel strongly that I don't enjoy watching him play golf. Not really. I don't like the rehearsals. I don't like the um I don't like I just don't like any of it, period. Now, did I like watching it today with a financial stake? Absolutely. Um, but I don't get any positive fun feelings watching him play. With that said, I also respect the hell out of his decision to stay on the PGA Tour, because I'm sure he could have taken the easy way out and taken his retirement fund and cashed it in. And obviously, he wants more. Obviously, he probably thinks he can win another major, and he might. Yeah, the right situation, you could envision like an open championship or something like that. So I do respect his decision to stay on the PGA Tour, work his butt off, and win again 4 years after his last win. Um, and then I was kind of thinking this today. AJ Green retired today. Great receiver. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he's came into the league in 2011. You get these like NFL players. Most are in our life for 10, 12 years, the really good ones. The great ones, 15, the absurd ones with weird situations like Tom Brady, 20. Justin Rose has been in our life for 25 years. It's pretty astonishing. I mean, yeah, you talk about the Phils and the Tigers going longer than that, but there's not too many that are running the gamut like Justin Rose has from the time he was 17 on that stage in the 98 Open. uh, 25 years later, he's still winning. So it's pretty incredible how these careers can really span decades and these guys can still figure out ways to win. So, yeah, potential Hall of Fame player here in Justin Rose. Like you said, it'll be interesting to see if he can push this forward and make a resurgence to something or if this is just a one off. I kind of think I wouldn't say resurgence, but I expect him to play well. He played well, the events prior to this one. And I think he'll be on the Ryder Cup team in the fall. I really do. I mean, I think the European team can really use his skill, his experience. We've talked about there's like a six, seven, a set of 6, 7 guys that we feel like are really solid for that team, and there's a lot of open spots. I don't think we even talked about Rose the last time we really talked about the Ryder Cup, but I got to think this really pushes him to the forefront for at least a captain's pick.
Yeah, and I think with how good he is playing, so if you're getting good results from his golf game, he's not just one of those rah-rah guys who's going to be good in the team room or paired up with the young guy and going to work him in the four ball or force some competition. I mean, you need results from as good as this American team is, and that's something that I hope for him that he does make the team because you're right. I do kind of share that same. I mean, he doesn't have this overly likable golf game. I mean, he's always seems to be happy go lucky. His attitude itself is nice and refreshing, and and all that. But you push that aside and look at his golf game, it is kind of hard to watch at times. So yeah, he's not an easy guy to root for, but what he's done there, and hopefully he'll make the team and not make Luke Donald have to pick him as a captain's pick. But he's one of the guys that they kind of need as a stalwart to be able to beat the American team, later on in the season. And a lot of it wasn't really mechanics. I don't think the last couple of years. I mean, there is some of that that's due in part to poor play, but you know what? It's not trusting your equipment. I think a lot of it ended up being in his head, and if he still has the physical game. He can despite being 42 years old, he can still get his driver out there and hit it far enough. His irons are far enough. And he's a streaky putter. And when he puts well with that putter he's great. That's what he did today. I mean, he made a bunch of, 15, 20, 25 footers. And when he could have just tried to make par or made a bunch of two putts coming in, but he really kind of separated himself to get that 3-shot lead going into 18 there. So yeah, whether this is going to be like a long-term type thing, I don't know, but he's had some good events in the fall, and I think he's finally trusting his game, he's trusting his equipment, and you know, I could see him contending. You know, you look at that, maybe contending in the Open Championship or even another major at that. I mean, he plays Augusta. He's played Augusta very well, and
Mhm.
you know, he's one of those guys that as a bettor, we were going to have to look at him on the radar there and look at his number at all time because he's capable of winning a major championship or just a regular PGA Tour event.
the uh, the guys that were around him the last couple of days, I don't really have a lot to talk about with this part. I don't know if I want to talk about Brendan Todd or Peter Malnati or Brandon Wu, Keith Mitchell. I don't really have anything I want to go in depth with about them. Did you see the Mitchell interview, whatever we're calling it, on four yesterday?
I had the volume really, really low, so I didn't really
Or
get to hear it.
it was three,
But I
maybe.
saw, I think it was three,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
par
short
three
par
there,
four. Yeah.
or par four. Yeah, you're right. So I think, yeah, I didn't get to really listen to it, but I could catch bits and pieces in between what I was doing at work there, and I hope they do that all the time. I mean, it's good stuff. I don't know exactly what that content. I'm mostly talking about the Homa conversation and everything, but I would love to see it if they can do this as many events as possible. And I hope NBC copies it as well for when they do the events there, and just ask a couple questions and get their thoughts because I think that's more fascinating. And then the discussions between the caddy and the player, you know, all that type of stuff is that intel that I think all of us want. We could listen to the information that they're discussing back and forth, and you get an idea
Right.
of what the player's thinking, especially when they're contending for the lead there.
The it wasn't as good as the Homa piece from uh, Corey, but it was good. The wind was really up, so the sound was a little bit tough at moments, but it was good because over the ball, that's when his caddy actually pulled him off, and you could hear that exchange because the wind kicked up. He changed clubs and actually hit a really good shot in there. But Immelman has been really good with focusing on not making it like an interview like, hey, how you feeling? It's more specifically strategy on that whole strategy with the tee shot, the second shot, how they're dealing with the winds, how they manage that, in the game plan beforehand. So I like that they're not just making it like an on-course interview, that it's specific strategy. I think golf nerds like us hear the discussion with the caddy and the player. Um, from a coverage standpoint, we talked about how tough this event could be. I thought it was better. Unfortunately, the weather really just kind of kicked it in the ass. I got it behind, but I thought they did better with the coverage. There was less of the celebrity um, focus, it seemed like, on the coverage, and I feel like CBS is kind of leaned to like, okay, we're really fucking good with our drone shots at some of these coastal courses. Let's just keep showing out because some of the camp work on 7, 8, 10 was pretty. That makes the coverage just so much more.
Yeah, you've got one of the most scenic and gorgeous pieces of property in the entire world there. So yeah, them utilizing that as best they can by getting those views and showing off. I mean, what we already know about the golf course, but you know, anytime you get different views, I mean, whether it's there, they did that with Riv a couple years ago when they had the drone coverage. It just gave you the different angles and everything like that. So that was pretty cool. You know, they're trying things, which is good, and I like with what Immelman stepping in there because Faldo was very knowledgeable. I mean, you're talking 6-time major champion, one of the great players of all time, top 20, 25 of all time, but he was just so corny and so weird and dry, and he wasn't really relatable to the players, and I think Trevor Immelman is going to be fantastic. He's already pretty fantastic right now, and like you said, is understand the situations, and I think he could talk to these guys as they're going through during the interviews there. One thing I didn't really, I thought again, I had the volume way down when I was watching it on Sunday there, but didn't they have some sort of shot? I think it was the fifth hole, the par three at Pebble, where they hit the shot and they had the overhead that was on the right side of the screen above the leaderboard, and it tried to pinpoint and predict where the shot would fall. Was that Was that something like? Did you see
It,
that?
I did not see that, but that's an interesting wrinkle for sure.
So I think it was Brandon Wu. I think, and he was playing five, which is the par three, and he hits this shot, and then they show like a drawing of the fifth hole, and it kind of goes a little bit closer to the green, and then it puts this yellow dot like just short of pin high on the right edge of the green, and then they flash to show the ball land, and that's about where it landed, and it was like I
Hmm.
don't know if I really want to see that, but that's kind of neat. It was like a few years ago when NBC and the Golf Channel were doing that putt preview that if you hit it inside of the cone of the break, it would go in at the right pace and everything. I don't know if that was good, but it was something different, and I don't mind that kind of stuff. And I we have to give them credit for doing stuff like that, for just trying different things and making it interesting. But if you get the chance, if you see Twitter or anything like that that shows that, I'm pretty sure that was him, and it predicted where the shot was going to go. And I'm like, I don't know if I feel about that. I don't know if they're going to pull that back out for waste management here, but it'll be an interesting thing if they continue to just try things, just try different ways to engage the TV watcher. And we're suckers. Golf Twitter is suckers for pretty much anything. They'll give it a go.
CBS out here predicting the future. Um, Impressive. No, I didn't see that, but I mean, again, I give him props for trying new things. It's been better. It's been really good. The coverage has been. I don't have anything else to take away from Pebble other than our best bets were not the best bets, and but I think we should at least get half credit for Justin Rose at 35 to 1, or 40 to 1 on some books. That's it's kind of cheating, but I feel like we've given out Homa and Rose back to back weeks on the podcast, not necessarily best bets. That should count, right?
Yeah, it should. And, like we've always said, when you watch or listen to us, you know, write down names of players that we're talking about. You don't necessarily have to bet them to win. Maybe Justin Rose, you like him at a top 20. That's what I did. I didn't bet him to win. We talked about him. We talked about how much we liked him. He was one of the guys that I bet. I bet him top 20 and I bet him in a matchup to win. So end up taking a little bit away from that, and that's why we want to go over all these players, is to figure out those types of guys. But you know what, after the first few weeks of how poorly our picks and suggestions and overall how we've been, I mean, we've got we picked Homa, and we got some good juju there with Team Rose, and hopefully we're trending up on making
Yeah.
making some better picks.
We we're going on to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and we alluded to it earlier. It's the first full field elevated event, so second elevated event of 2023. It gets a little confusing with some of these, but the field this week is just ridiculous. 18 of the top 20 in the world. It feels like a major looking through the odds today. It's priced like a major, and it's really interesting how this event has evolved, because I remember 10, 12 years ago on Super Bowl Sunday, I'd be excited to watch it, but it was like Ricky Fowler, Phil Mickelson, um, Hunter Mahan. I remember them kind of in the mix one year, but the field was never considered outstanding, and it really started to flip 2, 3, 4 years ago, and of course now it's an elevated event, so all these guys are going to be there. But it became this fun atmosphere to, okay, this course is pretty cool and it's great for entertainment, and then all the best players are here, and now it's fucking awesome.
It's true. No, I can remember. I don't remember when Phil Mickelson. Well, actually, he won here as an amateur. That was a long, long time ago. I don't recall that, but I can remember a lot of his other victories here. Just watch with my dad, and we'd watch the Sunday finish, and sometimes if they go to a playoff, we'd actually flip back and forth between the Super Bowl and the Phoenix Open, and it it's a it's an okay golf course. It's a fun golf course, I think, for these guys, and I honestly think it's the fans that make it that make it what it is with the ridiculous attendance there. But you're right. It never had the great fields because a lot of the guys would play Torrey, they'd play Pebble, and then they'd take a break. And then they go back to get ready for Riv. So this was always like the one that was kind of skipped. Now the guys, what they're doing is they're actually skipping Pebble, and they're coming over here to Waste Management. And it makes a lot of sense because you're going to get generally just ridiculously good weather. You're going to get that nice windless weather usually, and the golf course is going to be in fantastic shape. You don't have to worry about the rain gear or bringing all that other stuff out there. And yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? When you see what the 16th hole has become, who wouldn't want that opportunity to jump in there, at least playing the event once? Maybe you like it, maybe you hate it, but to have basically hitting inside of the equivalent of an NBA basketball arena full of people there. So, it's a good event. It's turned into a really, really great event, and I'm glad they've elevated it and shown the importance of it and how big the players view it as. But yeah, like you said, of the eligible players in the top 25, I think Will Zalatoris was the only one that is not playing this week. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to talk about. It's fun to watch. I personally really like watching it because I love Arizona golf. I love the contrast between the green grass and then the brown desert. And the stuff we don't see here in the Midwest, and you see the nice sunny cloudless days, and it's just it, the California events are good, but you see the cold and all the which can get dreary and everything like that. This rarely has that, so it kind of gets a feel of we're into February, we're getting closer and closer and closer, and we just so happen to have a major quality field that's playing in this event.
And we talked about before we went live. I said that this is the first half of this week, and then the following week at Riviera, you won't see two better fields back to back all year. And I really believe that, or just two better events back to back. I mean, that's including the majors. You don't see it back to back like this, but you're getting two elevated events right away. Great, we think Riv is maybe the best course on tour, and this is just fun, entertaining course. So I think this part of the schedule is awesome. We got API coming up with players. Valspar is a good tournament. Match play, all behind these next 2 weeks before the Masters. I just think there's a lot of awesome things that are going to happen coming up. Um, the according to strokes gained data, this tournament, specifically TPC Scottsdale, is the third most predictive in terms of course history of any course on tour, only behind Augusta and Waialae. So if you've played well here in the past, there's a very good chance you're gonna play well here in the future. It just seems like once guys figure it out, they always play well. Think about Jon Rahm. He hasn't won here, but I don't think he's ever finished outside the top 15 since he's turned pro. It's pretty incredible. Um, for me, I'm going to go Johnny Strauser here, and it's strokes gained approach for me this week. I think driving the ball well helps, but I saw a Justin Ray stat that I think this course more than most is really predicated on strokes gained approach stats. I'm looking up his tweet right now just so I can get a feel of what he actually put out there. But winners at the Waste Management Phoenix Open have gained 65% of their strokes gained versus a field via ball striking, the highest rate of any regular course played in that span. So guys that's win here, they are picking up more strokes versus the field by ball striking.
Yeah, if you think about it, some of the guys who've won in the past, I mean, and love the golf course and play well are just, you know, the best ball strikers in the game. So yeah, I like that. But yeah, course histories is a big one. With the crowds, you want, I think you want the players who are comfortable with it, comfortable playing with that kind of commotion that comes with, especially on that back nine there, both Saturday and Sunday. Playing with that type of feel there. But yeah, I mean, the fairways I think are generally pretty forgiving. The rough's not that bad at all. But it's getting it It's hitting good approach shots and giving yourself a lot of birdie chances, and
Mhm.
we'll see who makes putts and everything like that. But we can I think we can lean a lot of what has happened in the past and who likes the golf course as guys that we're going to pick out this week.
And the finish is really it's just it's as entertaining as it gets all year
Yeah.
long. 15 the par five, but so there's so much made about 16. Um, it's really not that great of a hole. It's just it's fun because of the atmosphere. It's not like this. It's not like the 12th at Augusta. It's not that level of par three. It's fun because of the atmosphere. But I love 17. I think that is an amazing short par four, and it's perfectly placed toward the end of the tournament. We saw it's usually the swing hole in this golf tournament. We saw Fowler lose a really tough one. I think in 16 or 17, he came back and won later. Last year with the Gala in the water, Scheffler makes birdie there. There's always something. I think 2 years ago, Kepka chipped in there for Eagle.
Kepka, yeah.
I mean, there's always something that happens on that hole, and it's just you can't hit it left. Obviously, it's tough to bail out right. There's water over the green, so it's just a great risk reward hole. I love it. I had another point. Oh, last time I'll mention this, but this was when I was on top of the world last year when I hit Luke List and then Scotty Scheffler back to back at 80 to 1 and then 28 to 1. And this is the last time I'll mention that since it's a year away. But Scotty Scheffler, first win on tour here last year, and we'll talk about it when we get to the odds. It started just a ridiculous run of golf. I feel like it's kind of under the radar that he hasn't won since the Masters, though. But
Yeah,
we'll we'll get to that when we hit the odds because I want to hit him a little bit harder. Anything else going into this from a betting standpoint as far as what you're looking at because it's such a stacked field.
no, with the stack field, you're not gonna get the long shot that's gonna win this event. I mean, if you do, then I mean, good luck picking him. What you can do though is if guys who you like here who have a pretty high number, be one of those things where you take let's say you bet unit wise, you bet a small percentage of your unit on a win, but spend most of it if if you're comfortable with the top 20 or a top 10. But there's a lot of you look at the major championships, they're not usually won by guys who nobody's ever heard of there. So I mean, this
Mhm.
is that type of it's not a major championship golf course, but it's a major championship field. So it's probably going to be won by some guy that's in the top 20 to 25 in the odds rankings
Yeah,
for that week. So we're not. So when we talk about long shots this week, we're not really. Like last week, we're like, hey, throw a couple bucks on a guy that's 100 to 1 or something like that. But this one here, we're not going to see that. I don't think.
I agree with you. I mean, I really am treating it like a major field, and we'll talk about that as we go through this. But the hard part I've run into with, we talk about the importance of course history and how much of a value there is on it. I feel like all the good players have a good course history here. I mean, even if they haven't won,
Mhm.
they've played well here. Uh, Scotty winning last year, Ron consistently in the top 10 to 15. Xander's got the lowest scoring average here since he's been playing. JT's had a couple top threes. Um, Finau had a runner up the year where Webb won, where Finau should have won. I mean, there's just a lot of guys that have played well here that makes it incredibly tough to separate them.
It's yeah, it is.
So the top of the board is as it's a broken record. Rom and Rory. I've seen it flip a little bit. Rom at 8.5 to 1, Ray at plus 900. Those are the top two. This is on DraftKings, and we saw earlier there's some differences between DraftKings and FanDuel. I haven't looked at the other books yet, but Xander, Scotty at 14, Finau at 18. That's a number that's just climbed from today. He was 25 on DraftKings earlier today, so obviously some money came in on Tony. Cantley, JT, and Morikawa at 20, Homa, Sanjay at 22, Matsuyama, Tom Kim, 28, Victor, Cam Young at 30. It's weird because I saw, again, a lot of those guys were priced above 30. They're at the bottom end of that. So, again, treating this like a major field, to me, it's always the question of if I had $100 to spend, would I rather spend 100 on Rory or Rahm, or divide that up three ways and go Cantlay, Thomas, Morikawa? I mean, to me, I'm always going to defer to taking three guys that are really, really good players with win equity over one. And I think you're in the same boat.
I would be. And before we start talking about the odds, just looking at these numbers here, these books are all over the place with these odds here. So go to shop around, go to oddschecker.com, just something to see between, all the books that that you guys use. Because I got a couple of these, but I didn't get them at these numbers. I got them at better numbers. I've seen them at better numbers, but they could have moved in the 6 or 7 hours there. I can't believe some of the movement on these though, like especially with Finau there. With that being said, though, if would I go two guys or would I go three or four guys? Up here, it's three or four. Jon Rahm, he's won twice. Could have easily won, three times in a row. The guy seems like he's going to win every single event there. And this is like the one that like you're like, how hasn't he won this event yet? And never seems to play poorly there. So I just that's such a short number with this many good guys. I mean, yes, he could very well win. He's got just the same amount of chances as anybody else on that board, and probably better. But at only 8 plus 850, that just seems so low there. And Rory played and won in Dubai just a couple weeks ago. Didn't even play overly great, but he's got that confidence and he's been playing well since the fall. And it's going to be one of those things that it's like, well, I mean, yeah, I could see that too, but I don't. I just think I think you could only win generally a certain amount of times within a stretch, and to continue what like Jon Rahm winning three of four, the probability of that would put me more, whatever percentage chance of that is to win. I would rate it not as good. So I'd say the value isn't quite there. Um, I'm looking at a guy. We always talked about once a guy hits a certain number. Justin Thomas at 20 to 1. That's kind of blows my mind. Of the guys who's never won here, I think him and Jon Rahm have had the best overall record. Is what I was kind of looking at earlier today, and I don't know. It just he can play hard golf courses real well. This is an event that he should win. I mean, this is one that with the crowds, with the way the golf course is set up, his ball striking. I mean, this is one that he should win. I don't know if I'm going to make it my best bet, but I've already bet him. He's on my card there. And the other guy like is Morikawa. I mean, he should have won the first event. Played really good at Torrey. The ball striking's there. It's just can he get three or four above average putting days and he's going to win this event. And of those, I mean, I don't dislike really many of those guys up there. Those are the guys I'm going to target though at that number. And if you're going to give me that $100 to spend, I'm going to probably go of the ones you mentioned. I'm going to go JT, Colin, and Hideki. And Hideki just, I mean, this is he plays so well here, and he's won a couple times at this event. This kind of fits him as well. So those are kind of my main targets. If you're giving me three to choose from.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I mean, I bet the same guys today. And of course, we talked about it, but it's so hard to see a 20 next to Justin Thomas's name and not just automatically say I'm gonna ride or die with that because of the win equity he brings. And we talked about how that has slowed down the last 2 years for sure, which makes me almost feel like this he's due for a little run here. He hasn't been great since the season started. He's had about a 25th at Farmers, a 25th at Century, going back to the fall, 40th at CJ Cup. That's his only three starts, so there's nothing to write home about, and that's probably why his number has dropped. But that's to me that's the perfect time to strike. Um, and Morikawa with just how damn good he has looked. He hasn't won since November 21, which was actually the DP World Tour finale then. So he hasn't won in a while on the PGA Tour, but he's kind of proven to be a big game hunter when he does win 6 tour wins. But pretty much, I think 5 of those are really, really solid fields or great fields. I just don't. I can live with betting those two guys from the top, and if it doesn't work out, I'm okay with that. I'm just going to tip my cap to Ram or Rory if they win at whatever number they're going to be at in the coming events. You know, if they're 6 to 1, 8 to 1, and it's just going to be impossible for most people to bet them unless you're putting down truly $100.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
let me just say, yeah, let me just say that, like you said that about the number. The only way I would consider betting those two, either one of those two guys, is I would parlay it with whoever I thought would cover in the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl,
hmm,
to get that good number. I mean, but then you're taking the chance of that team not winning, obviously with a parlay, but just to be able to get something like at 15 to 1 or something like that. That's the only way I would probably approach it with, as strong as this field is.
good point. You could parlay it with my best bet from my prop show last night. Please catch that if you can with Isaiah Pacheco over 14 and a half receiving yards. That would
Seems low.
that would take John Rahm to 16 and a half to 1. So yeah, you could take that risk and uh, just hope like hell you don't get burned. But I'm all for a little risk taking. But yeah, I can't disagree with either one of your picks. And you know, I was a little shocked today when I opened DraftKings. Max Homa was at 16 to 1. I don't think there's anybody that came on him because he's fallen to 22. It's still jarring to see that, and it's funny, you know, JT was, you know, seeing him below max, and I'm like, I still can't envision a scenario 100 times out of 100. If they're at the same number, I'm still betting Justin Thomas. I just can't. I don't know, you know, and I know what Max has done the last 2 or 3 years, but the allure of Justin Thomas, especially on a ball strikers course where putting seems to not be as important as some other courses, that makes me feel even more confident. Um, what about Tom Kim at this course? 28 to 1, uh, ridiculously good wedge player, short game, putter, all that. Of course, not long off the tee, but we've seen Webb Simpson here win pretty recently. Chez Reavie's done well here, not long guys. So maybe distance is not necessarily the most critical factor. Do you like Tom Kim this week?
Yes, I do. He was another guy. I didn't realize he was in that bucket that we were talking about. 28 to 1, I think is a good number too. I don't think it's great, but it's not, it wouldn't deter me away from betting him. I mean, we remember the President's Cup and with the crowds and how he just fed off of that.
Yeah.
You know, with him being a young guy, he's going to have those manic levels where he's, you know, like he was, I think at the Sony Open where he was, you know, hating the world and everything like that, and kind of, you know, dragging his feet all around the place and everything. But if his golf game's there, he's going to feed off that crowd. And you know, great iron player, great wedge player. You don't have to be long. I mean, the golf course is 7,200 yards, par 71, but nobody. There's not been players that have had issues, you know, winning here because the short hitters have had some success there at that. And I think Tom Kim is a real good, sneaky good play there that I think and he's got the win equity to do it. And he's gonna pop, I think, this spring at some point, you know, before the summer hits. He's gonna win one. And I think this is one that he's got a chance at. And haven't bet him yet because I don't know what his best numbers at, but I don't mind him anything 25 and higher as a chance to win this. Are you gonna be on him this week?
I can see that. I don't think I'm going to pick him to win. I'd like to see what his top 10 number ends up, or if it's a top 20 at plus odds. I haven't looked that far, but I got to tell you where I really love him is the players. I think the players is
Oh
just
yeah,
an insane setup for him.
yeah.
And it makes me almost want to go look at what the futures are on the players at multiple books and just and get them while I'm feeling that good about it. That's where I really prefer him in the spring. But I agree. It feels like there's going to be a pop moment for him. Not that he already hasn't made it, but to get a big like a big dick win, I feel like is it feels like it could be on the horizon for Tom Kim. Cam Young at 30, I saw him at 35 today. I liked him better there. In some aspects, I'm like maybe he's this year's Scheffler, where he's overdue. He gets it done, but I don't know. I don't know fatigue coming back from the Saudi events last week where he finished runner up. I don't know how that's going to affect him, and I don't even know if that really affects these guys anymore. I really don't know with travel, but it doesn't sound good on paper to me to want to put money on him at 30 to 1 when there's other guys around him that you can make a better case.
Yeah, I'm worried about the travel, and I mean he still hasn't won yet, and I know he almost won a essentially elevated event last year at Riv, but I think we've seen good play, but not that great play that once he got started at Riviera last year, and continued it through the PGA Championship into the summer. It felt like it's been a little bit, I don't want to say leveled off, but there's not been that sometimes you can kind of tell when a guy's about ready to 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 peak his game, and there's a lot of uncertainties. I think he's pretty fairly priced. I don't even think I'd get on him at 30 to 1. And with him traveling halfway around the world to play in the event, I don't think that's a huge deal, but it's just one that I don't think he's ready yet or I'm ready yet to pull the trigger on him. I got to see a little bit more as far as 72 hole event.
Scotty, I want to come back to him and then we can move on to the next group. 14 to 1. I kind of feel like he's fallen into a bit of the forgotten man conversation when he's playing really well this year. I mean, since the new season started, third at Mayakoba, ninth at Houston, seventh at Century, 11th at Amex. The ball striking is just fine. It's the putting uh, that hot fire putter that started at this event last year through the Masters. Um, in some aspects, I think he's got the course history here. His ball striking's fine. Can he pick up the putter? I don't know, but 14 to 1 is probably a little bit low. I think.
It's a little bit low because there is the uncertainty with him making the putts that he was making starting 1 year ago, and that was it. That was the thing is he was just he made so many putts that he had no chance at making even months prior. And what's good though is that the ball striking seems to still be there, and the finishes are there. It's just that spark. And I've said it about him a lot. I don't usually bet him because of the putting and because of that concern, and I just don't see it as it being the same as what was going to happen last year. Now, again, we've talked about how, this golf course seems to bring out players who play well consistently. He's obviously got, being the defending champion, he's got some good thoughts here. So, maybe that's a start for him that triggers some consistent putting and some clutch putts and everything. I won't bet him at 14. It would have to be something closer to what the JT number is at 20 to 1. But do I expect him to finish top 20 this week? Yes, I do. I mean, I really do. I think he'll ball strike his way around the golf course, and we'll see a good finish. But winning wise, even when he was winning all those events, I don't think I was ever comfortable with him having a good putting Sunday and winning these events. So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm with you on pretty much everything you said. Uh, Moving on to the next range, Fitzpatrick and Spieth at 35, St. Burns at 45, Theegala at 45, Hatton at 50, and then Fowler, Taylor Montgomery at 55, Jason Day at 60. Small group. Um, there's I think a couple value plays and a couple guys that are overvalued. Day, I think number one, and Fowler. I know we talked about this. I think over the weekend that because Fowler's number was around 90 before he had the good week at Torrey. Would have been a good time to get him, but at this point, I don't think he can really touch him. Burns and Theegala, I know you're on them. Make your case.
Yeah, I already bet both of them. Thigala just he seems to be around it. He makes the cut and seems to be in that top 10 or top 20 now. It's almost a weekly thing. It just, you don't think about him on Wednesday, you don't think about him on Tuesday, you generally don't even think about him on Thursday or Friday, and then you're like looking on the weekend, and then they flash a page, the second page of the leaderboard on TV, and he's there, and it's like, wait a minute, what? I mean, he's getting more and more used to the PGA Tour life. He's now seen these golf courses. He played great for 70 holes last year. Great golf for 70 holes. And ended up obviously with the train wreck on 17, unfortunately. But you know, I bet him to win. I might actually throw in a top 10 or top 20 bet as well, because this field's better than the one that was last year. So, there might be a little bit of regression there, but he's a really good player. So I'm in on him. And Sam Burns, he actually opened at I think 56-1. And I kind of thought that was disrespectful. I mean, I know he's not, I know he's an East Coast type Bermuda Greens guy, good putter, and you especially have talked how great of a player he is. I mean, but he was one of the hotter players last summer and everything. So he had some pretty solid finishes. I think he play well in one of the Hawaii events. Maybe it
He
was the
was
Century.
he was
Um,
11th at Amex. That's his best
Amex, that's
finish
what it
here.
was. Okay, Amex it was. So I mean, there's some good golf. There's some good playing. Top 15 finish. I think that number is pretty high. And like I said, I only threw a little bit on him to win it, but he's a guy though I think can play pretty well here. And if he's hitting his irons well, like we said, it's an approach shot galore, and he's one of the better putters in the field, in relation to his ball striking. So I like him as well. And Fowler, I wouldn't bet him to win, but I don't hate him one bit. Looking at him in matchups, seeing who he's matched up against. You could look at him in a top 20 or top 30 or something like that, because I think this is going to be a resurgence for him. He's working on his golf swing, and everything, and it's just a matter of getting that consistent for 4 straight days.
The, the fact that you're so high on the gala and you're so convincing because normally you don't throw around a ton of win bets that are over 30 or 40-1, and the fact that you're so strong on him, it's making me feel like I'm going to have to kind of follow suit with that. uh, Burns' finishes haven't been great since the middle of the summer, but I think we know his upside. um, he can make a lot of birdies in bunches. What's been the issue statistically. I haven't dove into that, why he's been a little bit off, but I think over 50 is disrespectful for sure. I By the way, Fitzpatrick and Spieth at 35, those are both just I think both are overvalued a little bit. Spieth has not been really close outside of that first round of Sony. I think 35-1 is way too high for him. So I agree with you on this range as well. It sound like a broken record, but Burns and Theegala would be the two that I would potentially invest in. Taylor Montgomery, of course, arguably one of the hottest players in the world. You could call it a bargain at 55, but I don't really think I'm ready for him in this type of field to compete and win. Um, I would prefer a lesser field, maybe one of the middle tier events. Not this week though. Over 60, I won't. I'm not going to go in depth with names, but we talked about that the likelihood of this event being won from the top is strong. So I can't see myself betting a ton of these guys for anything other than top tens, top 20s. I will probably put my token Aaron Wise win bet out there though at 80. I saw him on FanDuel at 85 today. So I probably will do that. But other than that, the only other guy that interested me was Lucas Herbert. He's at 90, but the plus 750 for a top 10, I really liked him. He's been playing excellent golf. Over on the DP World Tour.
Yeah, I'm not gonna win bet any of these guys because, like we had said, that they were I don't see a winner out of here, but matchups, top whatever, top 20s, top 10s, whatever you like to play. Um, yeah, Wise is a good choice. Shane Lowry,
Mhm.
he hasn't he's been a little bit off here lately, but he's good enough, and he's a 80 to 1. That's pretty wild to me. That's actually for a guy who won a major championship just a couple of years ago. Um, he's not a long, he doesn't hit it overly long.
Mhm.
Um, One thing about Shane Lowry I'm going to miss though, I think he just fired his caddy, which is
Mhm.
like his doppelganger in like
Yeah,
20 years. I mean, they're just like the twins there, but
looks like his dad. Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Hmm.
they finally had split up there. So that goes and everything. But again, I don't know. I'm not necessarily about a win. Billy Horschel, I hate to have to pick that dude for anything, but whatever. You look at him in a matchup. I mean, I think he'll like this, and I don't know how he's played in this event before. If he's played in this one that much, I know he doesn't play in a lot of the fall or the California or the West Coast events, and because he's a Florida man, so he's got to play. That's where he does his work at. But I think that type of atmosphere with this good of a field, you could see a guy like him,
Mhm.
grinding out, playing really, really tough. But other than that, I didn't love any of those in this range beyond that.
Okay, I lied. I kind of went through it again, and I do like two names in some capacity. Paige Lee at 100 to 1. He finished runner up here 2 years ago, and he's the
First round lead, that guy.
first round leader, TPC Slayer, KH Lee. I yeah, I like him. I think he's really good. I think he's a really
Yep.
good player. I think he's
Yeah, he is.
underrated.
No, but seriously, yeah, yeah. TPC Slayer. Stop. Pause this right now. Write down KH Lee, first round lead. He'll have a great number too.
See what that is right now on FanDuel, 80 to 1, first round leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, price that out in other books just in case. And then going pretty far down here, Davis Thompson at 250. Just recently, he almost beat John Rahm uh, at the Amex. I mean, he played really good golf. He was right there until the 72nd hole. He's down there with the uh, Cameron Champs of the world, Davis Riley, who aren't playing great. I think you can get some value on Davis Thompson's. Well, 1,600 for a top 10, probably about half of that for a top 20. So I do like Davis Thompson. Everything he does well, I think, should translate reasonably well this week.
That's a good one there. I looked at his number and was like, what? But you just never know how he's going to come back from that. Just,
Right.
I mean, legit heartbreak. I mean, that was tough. So, but hopefully he does, and we could see him make the cut and do something there. Um, we had talk about, since he's in the field, he's got this number, but man, Webb Simpson,
No, I'm done.
is he
I'm
is
done.
he appropriately priced, or is this
He's appropriately priced, I think.
okay? So
Yes.
it's not one of those we'll throw something on him.
I He was so bad last week. He was so bad. I
Yeah.
mean, in theory, I mean, Pebble should suit him, but I just don't think he's doing anything well. And he hasn't been for a while. So I think Webb Simpson's dead to us until we see something.
I think we're gonna have to put him on the deceased list for until further notice there.
um, yeah. There's some good names down here for top 20s though that you would have to think twice about. Lee Hodges is a really good iron player. Again, is he going to flash? Probably impossible to say, but um, yeah, I'm probably not going to go past Davis Thompson, and I think this is just one of those events you treat like a major, and you stick with the studs for the most part.
Yeah, I don't really. It's hard to find the value down here because, like you said, there's just so many good players that are going to occupy making the cut and that top 10 and top 20 that there's going to of these names down here there might be one or two, but it's like I don't feel
Yes.
comfortable picking up because, like you said, Lee Hodges is a good iron player. He's a good first round lead option as well. Um, Johnny Vegas, a good iron player, but hasn't really done much at all. Pretty benign putter. But it's just like I wouldn't bet really any of those guys for anything, even at the crazy numbers, because it is a good field, and there's just not many opportunities for these guys to slip in the top 20 or top 40.
Yeah, Johnny Vegas feels like such a live guy, doesn't he?
Yes, yes, he does.
Yeah. Um,
We had to mention Liv, didn't we?
just had to get one in there. Just felt good. Um, okay. Waste Management Phoenix Open. I think it's going to be awesome. Sunday is it's an awesome sports day, and if you like golf and football, it should be great.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we got some sort of duel or trio coming down the stretch of these top guys, and we can see some fireworks heading into the Super Bowl. What's the Super Bowl pick for you? Since you won't be on for
Oh,
football,
oh my God! You're gonna ask me what my Super Bowl pick is?
is it the second Super Bowl for Pat Mahomes, or is Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts they gonna take this one away from him?
Eagles 23,
Hmm.
Chiefs 24.
Oh, you got me.
Mahomes.
You got me there. I thought you had the Eagles winning there for a second. Okay.
I couldn't say it at the start. Yeah. No, I just I've learned in the last 2 to 3 years of Patrick Mahomes. There's two NFL quarterbacks that I do not fade, and it's Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes. I can't do it. I mean, I did so the right before the conference championship. They were all four teams were like plus 250 to plus 350 to win the Super Bowl. So I'm like, that's going to be the better bet than just betting each
Yeah.
one. So I actually bet Philly because I figured they were going to handle San Francisco. That was like plus 265 or something like that to win the Super Bowl. And I actually did bet the Bengals. I thought the Bengals were going to end up beating the Chiefs. So I still have that Eagles bet. So now I've got to decide if I want to truly hedge with that, and that with that line being so tight. I mean, it's tough. I actually have not listened to your podcast from yesterday. I'm going to catch that here, and I do want to see who you've got for these props because I know last year personally I did quite well with usually it was with the props. Like the overall stuff is so hard to bet. These lines are so tight and everything, and I've got some good bets down, but I really did well with like a lot of the 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 individual player bets. So that's kind of how I'm going to go with that. It's just a bunch of probably high volume on that kind of stuff because it's the last game that we're going to get to bet for 8, 9, 10 months or whatever it is. So
The if you like the Chiefs, I think you would like this one. I gave it out on the prop show is Chiefs to win and both teams score 20 points or more. That's at plus two.
I,
That's pretty tasty, I think, because
it's really tasty.
it's hard not to see this game have some scoring in it. And actually, I think Chiefs to win with both teams scoring 30 plus was plus 900. And of course, there's a scenario where this is a shootout. Some Super Bowls start off slow though, and I don't know. I like the one in the 20s a little bit better.
That I mean, plus 250. That's a good number on what is seemingly pretty attainable there. So yeah, that's the great thing about the Super Bowl is there's so many different ways you can approach it. And there's so many different ways you could win money on it. And that's like I said, I got lucky last year that I ended up not picking the overall winner of it. I was wrong there, but everything else pretty much hit, which ended up being nice. But like I like, the Eagles are always a start first team, but it's like,
Yes.
is Kansas City going to want to do that? I mean, I think it's going to be just a good game. I just hope Hurts is healthier than what I think he is with that shoulder because this could be the makings of if he gets tackled wrong or something like that, and then you got to bring in whomever that backup is. Was it Minshew? Well, Minshew's okay, but it's over at that point. So it should be fun. It's going to be a great weekend though, because we're going to get Saturday at the Waste Management is actually the better of the 2 days to watch. So if you guys, who love to watch the event or don't watch the event, Saturday is just the wild party. I mean, it gets kind of cleared out near the end of the day on Sunday because with the Super Bowl being in town and then everybody's going to their Super Bowl parties, they pregame it at the Waste Management. But really underrated weekend though of sports viewing. So I'm looking forward to that.
The who would have thought? Who would have thought that a meaningless run by Jalen Hurts against the Chicago Bears in the fourth quarter when they were up
Yeah.
10 would have an effect on the Super Bowl? But that's what happened. He hurt his shoulder when they were had that game well in hand against the Bears, and could have affected the outcome of the Super Bowl. I hope he's healthy. I hope Mahomes is healthy. I want to see those guys at full strength. Um, it's just more fun when you can see a team truly in full flight. And I haven't given my pick out yet. I'm going to save that for later in the week. But I have a feeling where I'm headed. All right, Johnny. Waste Management Phoenix Open. We got through it, and should be a good one. Thanks for joining.
All right, thanks. We'll get a winner this week.
Uh, what am I going to say here? One more show for the week with Zach Fitzgerald talking about Super Bowl 57, legacies, storylines, what's on the line here for this one. That'll be fun to talk about with Zach. Thanks for listening. As always, catch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Catch you next time.